Good evening, everyone. We are very happy to be here again. And tonight we are a bit different. We have a special guest. She is well known by us. I'm pretty sure you will remember her from the third episode, I think.
The third millennium, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Guilherme Dias.
And my name is Faye Waddington.
So,
Good evening.
hopefully, we're going to have a very good time, very pleasant time here tonight again. And let me start to share with you guys a little bit of what we came here for.
Mm-hmm.
So we are part of SSL, Spiritist Society of London, where we do have presential and online studies. We have been through almost 2 years now with the pandemic, bringing knowledge, bringing comfort to people that were willing to follow us online or SSL building. So we are part of BUS, British Union of Spiritist Society. They are giving us the support to our activities, and they are giving us the strength to carry on with this task. And now we have to talk about Cardiac Radio. We are also here because of them. They are giving us the opportunity to share this content, not only among us here, but with so many different places. Needless to say that Cardiac Radio has more than 10 years practicing this charity, bringing knowledge, peace, and light to a lot of people around the world. They do have apps, they do have sites, equally as BUS. And if you do feel like you need to dig a little bit more about them, please feel free to go on the YouTube channel or on their homepage. Tonight, we will start to talk about what we need, what is needed to be a medium. So, Faye, I would like to ask you what you think when you see this type of question.
Well, it comes to mind a few things. I think the word medium and mediumship is quite broad. It's dealt with in a very broad sense. And I see that it implies a connection. So the medium is a messenger, but how exactly does that work? And it is a sensitive, a psychic. So we hear all sorts of names, all sorts of denominations. And some of them are strictly a mediumship, like spiritual work connection, and others are more sent to be more to metaphysics, more to paranormality. So depends on who's dealing with it. And I think I'm going to return the question. So I would really like to see how this can be clarified. So what is what exactly?
I love that question. Let me start talking about laws and phenomena, right?
Okay.
The universal laws are the same. Doesn't matter how we call them. Doesn't matter if I'm spiritist, I'm a spiritualist, I'm a Catholic, I'm nothing. The laws of the universe are exactly the same. We all are driven by the very same laws. As we are different, as we see things in a different way, we call the same thing with different names. Because when we start to study the phenomena, it's exactly the same. There is no difference between what John calls, what Peter calls. We have to go to the phenomena. If the phenomena produced in a continent is exactly the same as the same phenomena produced in another continent, it falls under the same law. And as we started here, in my eyes, following what the Spiritism says to us,
Mm-hmm.
it is all mediumship. And it's very simple, very natural. So I think it's very simple, really. When we get used to it, it's very simple.
I also heard something say, is it more or less like that to say, well, everybody is born with potentially a medium or mediumship, but not everybody works in the same way. A bit like saying, well, everybody's born with two hands, not everyone's left-handed. Does that make any sense?
Aye. Let me bring to us a little bit of what I have in mind to try to explain all of it.
Okay.
And I just going to share here one question that's very interesting. Mediumship can pass from father to mother and to their children. I'm not going to answer that right now, but I will share with you guys again a little bit of what we prepared, and that will bring us to some comfort about what I'm about to say. Okay? Mediumship is organic. Who told us that? Allan Kardec told us that in more than one book. And surprisingly enough, not too long ago, I saw people surprised with that sentence. Mediumship is organic. We're going to work with that. Let me read first what Kardec says to us on the gospel. Before anything else, let us say that mediumship stems from a certain organic predisposition. I repeat, organic predisposition. And therefore, anyone may be gifted with this ability in the same way that we are gifted to see, hear, and speak. Right? Let me start first talking about this very first sentence. I think we started to talk about that already when we said that we all fall under the same laws, under the same principles. And Kardec is telling us here that we all, in principle, we can see, we can hear, we can speak. In principle. We're going to move a little bit further, right? Because he said that is an organic predisposition. And we know that we all look alike, but we are all different too, isn't it?
Yes.
Very good. Let us go now for the second topic. That is, faith is not an obligatory condition for beginners. There is no doubt that it aids the effort, but it is not indispensable. Few intentions, desire, and goodwill are enough. We have seen completely disbelieved persons become startled at writing without wanting to, while sincere believers cannot produce a single thing, which shows that the faculty is somehow related to organic predisposition. So, once again, Kardec is telling us that there is something in our physical body, in our organism, that allows us to be medium. That's something easy to accept. What do you think?
Oh yeah, well, if I come back to saying, well, because of other some references, is this something related to the pineal gland? Maybe
It is. It is. I'm not going that deep, otherwise people will call me crazy. But it is. It is. But it is. You're totally right.
But it does make sense. It does make sense because it's just, I would say, let's assume that we all hear and speak, and but not everyone has the ability or the liking or the proximity to learning languages. Some people cannot have a difficulty with reading even. They would have dyslexia. Other people find it absolutely easy to understand and learn and absorb other languages. Is it something? Because that's organic too, isn't it?
It is. It is. But let me go back over there. and I'll give more food for thought. Okay. So we are now in the third sentence. There is, well, the second sentence was for the medium's book. Okay, question 209. The third question, the third sentence is also from the medium's book. Does the development of mediumship have to have any relation to the medium's moral development? No. Period. The faculty per se is organic and therefore independent of morality. However, the same does not apply concern to its use, which can be good or bad according to the medium's character. So we have Kardec telling us in more than one instance that mediumship is organic, right? And I will invite you all to try to work out a different concept or about what organic is. Because when we talk about organic, we think about our physical body straight away, right? But there is something more than that. So let me share with you here the last one. We understand that let me start first, like why I call blueprint. Because we on the Spiritism, we understand that our perispirit, that is our spiritual body, is the blueprint of our physical body. Am I right to say that? I'm not sure. Let me ask some people that are way clever than me to try to tell me if I'm right or not. Also, according to the Spiritism, the spiritual body which models the physical body and the physical body which represents the spiritual body constitute the work of numerous centuries, patiently elaborated in two different spheres of life, to be taken up again in the cradle and in the grave with the guidance of the divine instructors who supervise terrestrial evolution. Who said that? That was mentioned by André Luiz. And André Luiz, he brought in the book Evolution in Two Worlds that sentence. The medium is Francisco Cândido Xavier. So now we have somebody else giving a little bit more information about what is the blueprint of our physical body. So let me go now.
Technical, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Let me go now for the second one, right? The organization function of the perispirit appears especially remarkable in the process of reincarnation, in which the morphogenic rhythm relating to the modeling of the biological systems, cells, tissues, organs, leads to the formation of a new physical body, which is structured strictly in accordance with the characteristics which mark the spiritual body, the model for excellence. The author of this book, I think that Zalmino Zimmerman, I think he is the spiritist who better capture all the information about this subject. And it is a shame that it's not available in English yet, right? Yeah. But it is massive, worth to study. But here now, there is no doubt about it that the blueprint of our physical body is our spiritual body. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the way the Spiritism sees that, okay? Yeah. Respecting every other point of view. There is something that is quite well accepted, in the Spiritism, that our physical body is connected to our spiritual body, molecule by molecule, atom by atom, cell by cell. This is very well accepted in the Spiritism, right? But let us read what is mentioned here. when the spirit must incarnate under the influence of the fetus, vital material principle, the perispirit, which possesses certain properties of matter, is united molecule by molecule to the body that is forming, a fact from which one may deduce that the spirit, through the intermediary of its perispirit, sort of takes root of the fetus, much as a plant takes root of the soil. During the discarnation, we have the opposite. Then the perispirit disengages molecule by molecule as when it was united, and the spirit is set free. Well, Faith, please correct it if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
Now we are willing to accept that our physical body has a blueprint. This blueprint is our spiritual body that we
Yeah.
call perispirit.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are also accepting that both are connected cell by cell. Am I right to say that?
Yes.
Okay. Please disagree with me. I love it.
I will if I could, but
Good. So good.
promise.
So good, right?
Yeah. No. It is. Yes, because again, what the final the lines at the bottom that you put there sum it up, don't they?
Yes.
Because they're saying that thus it's not the departure of the spirit that causes the death, but it's the finite condition of the body that releases the spirit. To make a simple, in a simple comparison, suppose we are driving, we're inside a car, and we use this car until it can move no longer. No tires, no wheels, no brakes, no nothing. It simply finishes. What do we do? Can we drive it? No. We get out of the car and wait until we can have a new one and start it all over.
Very good example. Very good example. I love to give examples like that because it's easy to people to understand and to connect the dots, isn't it? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so it's not, well, oh no, his spirit decided to go. No, the spirit couldn't stay there any longer. And that changes the perspective completely. When all the ethics around it make more sense. Because this carcass, this armor has to be very well looked after. I have a responsibility to look after it.
Indeed.
Because if I, as a spirit, don't look after it, I'm helping it to be destroyed. Now, if it gets destroyed with time, as time wears, as Shakespeare says, when lines go disaligned, then so be it. So it's not because I didn't want to look after it. My car couldn't move anymore. There was nothing to fix in it. Yeah. And the seat itself doesn't go anywhere.
And hopefully we'll all be there one day.
Yeah.
Hey, before I move to the next slide, I need to remind people that there was Kardec who brought this knowledge here to us, mentioned on the Genesis. Right? I'm kind of saying where the information is coming from because I'm pretty sure people will need the information to connect the dots in the future. Okay?
And that's very interesting, because when you say that, well, that's from his research, that's from his interviews, isn't it?
Correct.
And from his interviews, other people carried on with studies. And nobody has denied any of that.
No.
On the contrary, further studies corroborate his don't they?
Totally. And you have to remember that the high spirits reviewed, correct the entirely labor of Kardec before being published. So we are talking about someone that deserves at least my respect. Plus, these spirits that I cannot even say anything, right? So I just need to accept because of the level of instructions they brought to us. So this is an information that I cannot deny, nor no one so far, as you said. Very good.
No, it's opened doors for more researchers than there have ever been.
Mm-hmm. Talking about that, let me try to bring something more.
Yeah.
Right. When we talk about perispirits, I'm just bringing that content because maybe a lot of people are not familiar with. But
sure.
I brought some sentences here to tell that this one is from Astral City. Francisco Cândido Xavier is the medium. The spirit is André Luiz. At this point, I was served a comforting broth followed by very fresh water. So the spiritual body needed water and some sort of food, right? But this is the first comment. Dressed in white, his features radiation and almost sympathy. Enrique auscultated me at length. This action, auscultated, means get instruments that the doctors use to listen to your internal organs.
Yes.
Right? So just everyone to be aware of it. The spiritual organism presents in itself the complete history of the actions performed in the world. So what we do when we are in the matter remains in our spiritual body, right? Does not disappear by magic. Have you observed, my friend, that your liver has been ill-treated by your own actions? That the kidneys have been forgotten with terrible disparagement of sacred gifts? Well, now something kind of interesting, right? I'm bringing to you, Faye, a spiritual body that's pretty much like your physical body. And by the way, those informations were from reliable sources, mediums, and the spirit, right?
Yeah.
So this is a kind of difficult to comprehend, really. You know, I thought that when I die, I would become an angel, a Casper ghost kind of thing, you know.
Yes, a Casper. Just some smoke.
And this level of information is telling me that when I lose my perishable physical body, I still have need for water, food. I have internal organs that whoever is going to treat me can listen to them. So I guess my heartbeat, my stomach, you know. So I think that gives us an idea of what the spiritual body is. Do you agree with that? Any comment before we move on?
So are you saying that we, in principle, at first, we carry a double?
No, I am not saying that. Kardec, André Luiz, Emmanuel, Chico Xavier, and many other names that, as I like to say, they are way better than me, way more intelligent than me. They said that.
Yeah, all right.
And why I'm saying that is important, that I'm not bringing any information from me, from Guilherme. I'm bringing information from the Spiritism that's well accepted and well known, or at least should be well known. And Now
Yeah.
is a sequence. I accept. I have my blueprint, my physical body. They are connected cell by cell. And if I accept they are connected cell by cell, it's like a mirror. My physical body that has a mouth, has a mouth. Has a heart, has a heart. Has limbs, has limbs. So if one is the blueprint of the other, I think that's obvious, right? At least for me. I may be wrong. I like to say that I love people to think with me and even to correct me, because this is part of a learning process, right? But to me, at least, it does make sense.
It makes sense to me, and assuming that this is true and accepting that this is true, and for me, it's not a matter of I assume. I think no. I like to see anyone disprove it. I don't think there is. It brings me back, the initial question. So every time, whatever you say, it takes me back to the initial question. So what does it take? It takes the awareness. What does it take? What do I need to do to be a medium? First, it's the awareness of all that. It's the understanding of all that, and knowing what we do, what we have to do with all that.
Correct. So let's move to the next one. Oh dear. Let me even increase here to allow people to read that.
Yeah.
Right. We have few things, right?
Yeah.
I have some question marks because no one knows everything. And I'm pretty sure that in 10 years' time, we will find more things. We understand things better. So there's always questions to be made. We have our spiritual body, genetics. We have spiritual body, epigenetics. Genetic modifications to reincarnate. Loss of the outer layer of the perispirit to reincarnate as well. Boom is the biological organization. I forgot how to say that in English, but is the biological formation template. This is your blueprint.
Right. Okay.
As such, right? Fetal genetics.
Fetal genetics.
Fetal genetics heredity.
Yes.
Fetal epigenetics. And then we have all birth, right?
Yeah.
So this is just to bring some topics. I'm not going to talk about all of them. We don't have time for that here today. But I'm trying to answer the question if mediumship is from father to mother and so on. I still have that question in my mind. So let's move on a little bit. Here we start to talk a bit more about organic. Remember that we said that mediumship is organic in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's forget about the spirit. Spirit is something else, right?
Right.
Our spiritual body comprises 2 layers, 2 steps. And those steps are what we discussed in the previous one. Genetics, for the spiritual body, genetics, epigenetics, modifications to reincarnate, loss of the layer, perispirit, and boom, right? And we have our physical body, fetal and fetal epigenetics, if you like. I use different names, but the same thing. And my understanding is that's all is organic. It's not just what is in the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
When Kardec brought to us is organic, he was totally right. And I'm not saying anything different than what Kardec says. I'm just increasing the perception of what is organic. Because I understand the perispirit is also organic. By all the information we have from Kardec, André Luiz, Francisco Xavier, Zimmermann, and others, the perispirit is also organic. Of course, in a different states of the matter. That is also very well accepted in Spiritism. It's a different status of the matter. That still matter. Our spiritual body is still matter.
That changes everything. That absolutely changes everything, because the understanding that a spiritual body, or to remember that it is organic matter. If it's dark matter, it's still matter. It's it. So it's just another level of organic.
I need to tell you something, Faye.
Well,
I will answer the first question first, but Rafael is also with us. That's very nice.
hey, hello.
Hi, Rafael. I hope you're having fun where you are. I will answer your question to Rafael. Bear with me, right? So
Yes.
I hope that I made clear that in my perception,
Mm.
our spiritual body is also organic.
Mm.
Because we have to maintain the spiritual body, we have to treat our spiritual body, we have organs in our spiritual body, we have members in our spiritual body. So it is as you said, I don't like to use that name double because we'll mix with something else. But it's a mirror.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah, but yes, but just as we have molecules in one level of matter, you will still have molecules on another level of matter.
Indeed.
This is like I said, if you have matter as we can see, as we physically perceive it, but when we talk about dark matter, it's still matter, only at another level.
Exactly. And if I don't accept what I'm saying here, means I don't accept things that we accept in the Spiritism, as I mentioned and showed you before.
Right.
If I truly accept what is there, I cannot deny what is here. So now, trying to answer the first question, right? Good. I just want to be sure that I didn't miss that. So let me go back to here, to the question. Oh dear. Many people saying hello, hi, blah. How you doing, guys?
Hello.
Here we are. Mediumship can pass from father to mother to their children. I will go back here because this is where I will be able to answer. People will say that's not written anywhere on the Spiritism, and I have to agree. It is not written, or at least I haven't had the opportunity to see that in any book from any reliable source.
Of course. Uh-huh.
But Kardec told us to use reason, to study, to research, and to consider possibilities. So I would say that mediumship is partially, we can pass mediumship partially to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Why I'm saying that? We have here the genetic part. If you notice what I did here,
Yeah.
this is used very much in the industry.
Yeah, the rig pin.
All right. To allow that to happen, you need to pass through all those layers before it happens.
Yeah.
And some of the layers to that to happen, and that is to allow us to have an ostensive mediumship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to pass through the fetal genetics and heredity.
Heredity.
Right? So part of us will contribute to the mediumship of my kid. And we used to see quite often, oh, my grandmother, she was medium, now I'm a medium as well. Oh, my mom, she was medium, my father was medium, now I'm medium. It's not only because he or she was your father or mother, no. But he also contributed to that with his physical part, right? So let me talk a little bit. I gave my introduction to that answer, right? So I believe part of it is related to our parents, part of it. Because if I don't have those here working on me, genetics and heredity, will not happen. If I remove one of those cards, Faye, things possibly won't work.
Yeah, this shows something that's very familiar to me. When I was wearing another hat. So if we in physical, let's say in physical things, or you could say in mechanics or anything, if you want to put a part to fit a part into a bigger body, like a door to an airplane or to a car, all the parts, all the bits need to align perfectly. And how do you do that? There is one point that is essential. Without that point, you can have all the other characteristics, but without that point through which one single pin, that's why I said the rig pin, would go through, there's no alignment. Isn't it? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
All these characteristics need to have that essential hole at that corner, at the left lower corner, or in the drawing.
Yep. Yep.
Or there won't be any alignment.
That's my understanding.
Mm.
That's a kind of theory, if you like, that I put together based in some reliable source of information, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me try to answer now Rafael's question. Otherwise, he won't be happy with us. And he's over there, back in Brazil, desperate because he could not say hello just tonight.
Hello.
But he's saying here, hello, my friends. Where's the link between genetics and the law of cause and effect? Rafael, to answer your question, the law and effect is happening everywhere here. Because we think that the cause and effect happening only when we are incarnated. But no, it happens also when we are discarnated. So the environment and our choices do change what we are. And what we are spirits. When we are in the physical world, we have bone and flesh like we all have. But go on, Fred.
Yeah, I would like to risk something. Please tell me if it's completely silly, right? So what you're saying is by logics. If I want to be logical with this, the law of cause and effect has been understood to a certain point in which, let's put it this way, I'll put myself so as I'm not risking anyone. I know that through my experiences of past lives and past experiences, the law of cause and effects has shown me a picture. Look, this is where you are. This is what you need to do. But for me to do what I've agreed to do, I say, all right, so I need to do my work as a medium. I will need to incarnate in a body that has one that corresponds to one of those parts. Because if I go to just anybody without the part that I need for that expression, for that work, I won't be able to do what I promised.
Mm-hmm. That's my understanding.
So there must be a perfect alignment between the understanding of what the spiritual experience summarizes in which, okay, once the next step is agreed, so the body, I have to be sent to a body that was going to give me the equipment that I need. Otherwise, I won't be able to do what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. So if one is born, look, you've got to be a pianist. if he's born on the body of a footballer that doesn't have a clue about music, no interest, he won't be a pianist. So, does it make sense?
It does. It does. It does. But let me try to give a little bit more information about those layers that would make things more complicated or more interesting. Okay? Hopefully more interest.
The more the merrier.
I think we all accept that we have genetics, right? DNA, consequences, genetics in our physical body. Going back to a few slides before, I'll bring my mirror back. That's my spiritual body. Mm-hmm. If I do have genetics in my physical body, nothing more than natural to assume that I have genetics in my spiritual body. Right? Nothing happens by magic.
Yeah.
So I think that is reasonable. And do I have anything that to support me that? Yes, I do. In the Spiritism. I haven't brought it to us here today because of the time. But yes, we do. Please study André Luiz. Please study Kardec. You will find. But anyway, now that we're talking about genetics, I will speak a little bit about genetic modification to reincarnate. So I'll bring a little bit of the genetic information we have from the spiritual world. A little bit. There is a part on André Luiz's books, and there is one in particular that I like pretty much, is the reincarnation of Sigismund. It's very clear, the process, where the benefactors have a direct intervention on the spiritual body of Sigismund before he's prepared to reincarnate. Mm-hmm. There was an intervention. Oh, that's not possible. Well, on Earth, it's possible already.
We do that on Earth.
All the time now.
With very ordinary things.
Exactly. So, why that's not true on the spiritual world? If I have a reliable source telling me that it's happening over there. And bring my mirror back. My blueprint is there. So, I believe it's really possible, right? So, we talk about genetics and the spiritual world. Modifications and genetics in general. And then, I bet it's the first time you hear someone say that, because I really tried and I could not find it. Anyone talking about epigenetics in the spiritual world. Mm-hmm. Because now there's a lot of clever people really focusing on epigenetics.
That's interesting.
The physical body, only on the physical body. Lots of clever people focusing on that, epigenetics on the physical body, and scientists too, right? Because we are looking through the Spiritism prism, but there's a lot of good and respectable science people, like Nesakari, for example. Mm-hmm. You can buy from her, from Amazon, for example. I'm doing some plug here. If I have the mirror resonate with my physical body. So I have genetics. I may also have epigenetics on the spiritual world. But what is epigenetic? Just to give a bit of information. Epigenetics is everything that alters our genetics. Any external factor that alter our genetics. Today, science in our world is developing drugs to treat diseases using this principle. Yeah. There's a lot of things going on regarding this matter in the physical world. But it also happens in the spiritual world, because when we are in the spiritual world, we are not Casper the ghost. We have to do activities. We have our own environment when we are in the spiritual world. If the environment changes all the DNA here, I think it's logical to think that the environment in the spiritual world also changes our genetics in the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's natural to think that.
Yes.
Many of you may think it's not, but I think it is. So,
Well,
all right, what else I can bring to here to try to answer?
well,
Okay.
if I could bring an example, I don't know, that would be pretty mundane. I don't want to make it sound unimportant, but on the contrary, it's very important. But as you talk, I have this image of. That's why I said we do that all the time. You have our hand. You need to protect your hands. You need something that fits perfectly. Yeah. And depending on what you need to do, the cover, the glove that you're going to put needs to fit absolutely perfectly. Yeah. In some cases, the material is going to be adapted depending on the work that you need to do. But if you want something that's fire retardant or fire resistant, it's going to be done perfectly to fit every bit, every corner, every shape of your hand. But it's that material, not plastic, not anything else, not cotton. It's got to be that combination to serve perfectly for the needs that you have. So it's your glove. It's the glove that you need for that.
Hey, I
job.
think you are reading my mind, because my very next topic is lost of the outer layer of the perispirit. And this glove, well, is like a glove to my subject.
It's a good teacher.
Yep. Well, in that very same case of Sigismund reincarnation,
Mm.
it's really written that one of the steps to the reincarnation is to lose one organ that restate the flexibility of the perispirit before its contraction.
Mm.
And then I have a question for you. Which is the largest organ in our physical body?
Which is the largest organ?
Ah, that's tricky. Which one?
Don't know. The brain? I don't know. Which one?
The skin.
Of course.
The skin is the
Absolutely.
largest
Of course. Yes.
organ we have.
Of course it is. Yes.
And if we think that, once again, we are a mirror,
Yes.
and we know that to regain the perispirit flexibility to the contraction, to reincarnate, you have to lose an organ.
Yes.
So he's telling us you need to lose your skin. To
Yes.
easy understand, right? We lose our skin. That is written there, right? And I would encourage everyone to study the subject that histogenesis, spiritual histogenesis, because the same process happens when we passed away. When our body decay, we create organs to allow our spirit, perispirit, to interact in the spiritual world. Is there evolution in two worlds? I'm not inventing anything. It's written there.
Mm-hmm.
So we lost a skin to reincarnate. We gain a skin to discarnate, right? But
Right.
why I want to come to that point, I'm not going too deep. I think I gave enough ideas of where those layers come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I will bring Rafael questions back.
That's fascinating. Yes.
Where is the link between genetics and the law of cause and effect? Assuming I'm not Casper, the friendly ghost, that I have my genetics, I have my organs, I have an environment that I need to interact in the spiritual world, my actions will create a reaction, not only in my spirit, but also in my spiritual body. We saw here today that when we die, my perispirit carries the same image of my physical body.
Yeah.
So if I do have a defect or a disease, for example, when I am arriving over there, at least, I will have exactly the same. So anything I do, any choice I make in the spiritual world reflects on the spiritual world and in the physical world. Any choice I make in the physical world reflects on the physical world, in my body, also in the spiritual world. Everything is interconnected. So, answer your question, Rafael. Cause and effect follow us from the moment we've been created to the eternity. Doesn't matter if we are on earth, if we are in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual world, some people are. It's a law, it's a universal, follow everywhere. The problem we have is we try always to disconnect. We are something when we are alive on earth, we are something else when we are in the spiritual world. But the Spiritism tells me exactly the opposite. It tells me that I am the same here and there. If the law is only one, the law exists everywhere, happens to everyone in any moment in our lives. What do you think, Faye? What do you think?
I'm thinking, I'm asking you another question. I was just wondering, because like I said, I'm going back and forth from the initial questions. Right. And then one could ask you, where does the medium come? And all that considered, who is the medium?
Let me start first, answer your question.
Yes.
Telling us that mediumship start when we asked to be mediums.
Yep.
Right? When we ask to be mediums on the spiritual world, our benefactors will help us to achieve that possibility through several processes. Study, inductions, genetic modifications of your spiritual body, finding a potential father or mother that genetically can give me the tools to be a medium.
Yeah.
So mediumship starts when you ask to be medium.
Right.
If you pay attention, I kept the spirit right on top on this slide.
Yeah.
Spirit is something else. Right? The spirit is something that is not material as far as we know at the moment. There's nothing material there. Other than that, everything is physical.
But it needs to be wrapped. It needs a.
Correct. So when mediumship starts, it starts when I ask to be medium, possibly to repair my undoings in the past, the great majority at least. And when things start to happen, yet in the spiritual world, preparation, modifications, find the right father, the right mother, mix that thing. And there is something that people call BOM, that is the amalgamation of everything.
Yeah.
The BOM, there is a very important factor that is coming to your mission, to this incarnation. So on the BOM, you have all the factors that will change the equation of your next life to allow you to achieve what you're supposed to. If you're going to use or not is a different thing. But you will be given the possibility to achieve what you ask to or what you have to. Sometimes we don't have the right to ask, but it's there. Everything starts over there. And Kardec said that we all are mediums. So to a certain extent, we all have sensibilities. We all have the potentiality to have a degree of mediumship.
Yep.
Ostensive mediums is, in my perception, are those that have all the way through the dots.
They have the lock pin.
Yes. They
have that little bore
yes. But,
at the lower left corner.
But Faye, I would like to do something before we finish. This subject, there's a lot more information, but we don't have time to
it's fascinating.
Work on this here today. But I would like to bring another slide before we wrap up.
Okay.
Modern mediums, since the apostles also possessed mediumship, have equally received this faculty gratis from God, these being interpreters of the spirits for the instructions of humankind, to show them the pathway of goodness and conducting them along by means of faith, and not to sell words that do not belong to them, seeing that they are not fruits from their conception, of their research, of their personal work. Mediumship is something sacred, which should be practiced in a saintly and religious manner. Hey, I think the last subject for our encounter here today is what we call in Spiritism mediums with Jesus, mediumship with Jesus. I'm talking about Spiritist mediums.
Yeah.
And give for free what you receive for free. Despite that many people call that gift, that's not yours.
No.
That's humanity. That is to help people, bring peace, comfort, heal people. So in the Spiritism, the best meter for a medium is to check how he works.
Yeah.
Charity. Today, tomorrow, hours, forever.
Yes, and that's and if I may add, that means that is a task that's being assumed, that is being promised, that's being committed. It's a commitment to be accomplished on top of all the routine. So nobody is on a pedestal. Nobody is on top of an altar or plinth or anything because of that. On the contrary, the proof is in taking care of every routine anyone can have, and on top of it, find a way and do it, and do that work.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And it's like in the Millennium talk, we say mediums are bringers of messages of love to reduce the kind of fear that the world feels today. So especially when brought by the immediate, instantaneous information that's affecting people all the time. And it's not so much to dwell in the past or explore the past. That's just a tool to be used as needed, isn't it?
It is.
There's a
Great.
lot of work to be done today.
Our time is gone too fast, and I would like to say only my final words, and I would like to ask you to do the same before we pass to our announcement.
Mhm.
My final words is mediumship with Jesus, in my view, is not a gift. It's an obligation with him. With you, Faith.
I'll just say the same, yes. And it's wanted to be done. It needs to be worked on, prepared, studied, educated, like a jewel. You work a jewel, you receive the rock, and you have to turn it, lapidate it as a jewel. And otherwise, the work is not properly done.
Beautiful. Well, now let me share with you guys our announcements, right? Well, as you all know now, we have every week an activity on Tuesdays. We have our time to talk every 2 weeks, and we have our Nosular Astral City study every 2 weeks. Astral City study starts 8 o'clock, and time to talk starts 8:30. We also have weekly, every Saturday, Mediums book study. Is open to everyone. Feel free to join. We have a marvelous time with Munir every Wednesday, coffee break with Kardak. It's a very short period when he brings to us a massive subject about the Genesis. I would encourage you to participate if you can. We will have shortly on SSL, on 21st of April, Spiritist Philosophy and Mediumship. It's a face-to-face lecture, if you like, a study, like I prefer, and everyone is free to join. We also is starting very soon, on the 27th of April, an introduction to Spiritism. It will be a sequence of studies, and if you may, I think it's a great opportunity to start knowing a little bit about what we do, what we think, why we do. And now I would like to bring to your attention something that is massive. We have many countries, many languages in this month, April. There are lots of very, very important and interesting subjects. If you may, have a look at it. I think will open your eyes to a lot of subjects that are directly related to our day-to-day in our lives. So now, I would like first to ask you all to be with us again in 2 weeks' time. I would like to thank you all for your participation, to be here with us. It was a pleasure.
Great pleasure to me too. Thank you so much for your kindness. Oh,
yes.
On YouTube, the Spiritist month, all the talks are there, can be found there.
Yes, I forgot to say that.
It's languages, 4 languages.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. See you in 2 weeks' time. See you, Faith.
Bye.